Good evening. Welcome to Calvary Chapel Gresham. Let's pray for tonight's service. Father, we do come before you. We lift up this time of worship unto you, Lord. We are so grateful for our salvation. We pray that you would receive our praise, receive our hearts, and that you would be glorified. In Jesus' name, amen.
What gift of grace is Jesus my Redeemer? There is no more for heaven now to give. He is my joy, my righteousness and freedom, my steadfast love, my deep and boundless peace. To this I hold, my hope is only Jesus, for my life is wholly bound to His. Oh, how strange and divine, I can sing, all is mine, yet not I, but through Christ in me. The night is dark, but I am not forsaken, for by my side, my Savior, He will stay. I labor on in weakness and rejoicing, for in my need, His power is displayed. For this I hold, my shepherd will defend me. Through the deepest valley he will lead. Oh, the night has been won, and I shall overcome, yet not I, but through Christ in me. No fate I dread, I know I am forgiven. The future sure, the price it has been paid. For Jesus bled and suffered for my pardon, and He was raised to overthrow the grave. To this I hold, my sin has been defeated. Jesus now and ever is my plea. Oh, the chains are released, I can sing, I am free, yet not I, but through Christ in me. With every breath I long to follow Jesus, for He has said that He will bring me home. And day by day I know He will renew me, until I stand with joy before the throne. To this I hold, my hope is only Jesus. All the glory evermore to Him. When the race is complete, still my lips shall repeat, yet not I, but through Christ in me. Yet not I, but through Christ in me. Lord, you are the gift of grace, Jesus our Redeemer. Thank you for being with us, Lord. Your word said, when the cares of my heart are many, your consolations cheer my soul. Lord, I pray that for each and every one of us, Lord. That you would be our joy, our strength. We thank you, Lord Jesus. I see the King of glory coming on the clouds with fire. The whole earth shakes, whole earth shakes. I see his love and mercy washing over all our sin. People sing, people sing. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. I see a generation rising up to take their place. Selfless faith, selfless faith. I see a near revival stirring as we pray and seek. On our knees, we're on our knees. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Heal my heart and make it clean. Open up my eyes to the things unseen. Show me how to love like you have loved me. Break my heart for what breaks yours. Everything I am for your kingdom's cause. As I walk from earth into eternity. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna in the highest. When the music fades, all is stripped away, and I simply come, longing just to bring some something that's of worth that will bless your heart. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. King of endless worth, no one could express how much you deserve. Though I'm weak and poor, all I have is yours, every single breath. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm coming back to the heart of worship. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. We exalt thee. We exalt thee. We exalt thee. O Lord. We exalt thee. We exalt thee. We exalt thee. O Lord. We exalt you, O Lord. And we pray that as your word goes forth, that we would take to heart what you were going on, what was going on this week. And you will be exalted, Lord, and you were. And we thank you for that, Lord. Speak to us tonight through your word, Lord Jesus. We thank you and praise you in your name. Amen.
Well, good evening once again. If you have your Bibles, turn to the book of Mark, chapter 14. We'll be in verse 12 through 72. And tonight's study is on the Passover, also the Lord's Supper. So let us pray. Father, again, we thank you for this opportunity to be in your word. Father, we are so grateful because your love is so merciful. We are grateful tonight, Lord, because we are reminded of an event that had taken place over 2,000 years ago. And we look to you this morning, Lord God, to be all that we need, to guide us, to reveal your truth to us. We pray for your mercy and your blessings in our lives, Lord, in our country, in our world, with all the heartaches that are taking place right now. We continue to lift up our President Trump and all those leaders involved in every decision for this country. We pray for patience for us American people, Lord. We pray that we would be a people who honor what you have established. And we're thankful to be in a country that still has many, many blessings, Lord. And most of us know that's because we support Israel. So I do lift up this time to you, Lord God, and I pray that you would bless us and you would bless all those watching by YouTube, and that you would speak to us and bring us your understanding of the event that had taken place a long, long time ago. So we thank you, Lord, for your love and mercy to us, your forgiveness. In Jesus' name, amen. So tonight we are going to study the Passover, also known as afterwards the Lord's Supper. I want to read this before we get started. Jesus shared the Feast of Passover with his disciples. So in Luke, we're in Mark, but in Luke's Gospel, chapter 22, verse 14 through 16, this is what he said. When the hour had come, he sat down and the 12 apostles with him. Then he said to them, with fervent desire, I have desired to eat the Passover, or this Passover, with you before I suffer. Jesus said, fervent desire. It was his everything within him. He wanted to have a meal with his disciples. He said before he suffered. I found that interesting. That was like, it wasn't his last thought, but it was one of his last thoughts when he had his boys together with them. And then he says, before I suffer, of course, this would be his last meal. For I say to you, I will no longer eat of it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God. So he won't have this event again until it's ushered in. And so when I think of that, I think about the desires that Jesus has for us, the times he wants to spend with us, and what are those desires in our lives. Of course, he wants fellowship with us. He wants to have a relationship with us. And there are many out there he's still desiring to spend time with, to have fellowship with. And so I pray this evening that anyone listening who does not know Jesus, that would come true for them even this night. So here in Mark chapter 14, as we continue through the events of Jesus' life heading to the cross, we're told here in verse 12 that now on the first day of leavened bread, when they killed the Passover lamb, his disciples said to him, where do you want us to go and prepare that you may eat the Passover? And he sent out two of his disciples and said to them, go into the city, and a man will meet you carrying a pitcher of water. Follow him. From Bethany, they're asking about the Passover, and Jesus sends Peter and John ahead of him, according to Luke 22:8, to prepare this room in Jerusalem, but he also tells them that there would be a man who would have an upper room where they could do this at. We've been in the upper room that's believed to be the upper room in Jerusalem. It is a very big room. It's not a little. I think maybe bigger than this room. It's a fairly good-sized room with high ceilings, and it's kind of a wonder when you go there and to be there and to see that and know that this is where the Lord's Passover had taken place. So then he says, wherever he goes on in, say to the master of the house, the teacher says, where is the guest room in which I may eat the Passover with my disciples? Then he will show you a large upper room, furnished and prepared. There make ready for us. Now you got to like that. Somebody else making dinner for you, a meal, and it's already ready when you get there. So his disciples went out and came into the city and found it just as he had said to them, and they prepared the Passover. So I'm not sure what they actually prepared, because it said it was already prepared. But who knows, maybe I'm thinking, because of some stuff I'm going to read here about the assignments of seat and the pillows and it being organized a certain way. I'm assuming they made some adjustments here. So it is believed that Passover had taken place on a Thursday, the 14th of Nisan, AD 33, or April 2nd, basically. The Passover the disciples would have been more Jewish than what we do today and what we call Passover. The meal would have been very simple: lamb and unleavened bread and wine and just things like that. Each of them having a symbolic significance to the meal. So we have gone over different things of the Passover for all the years we've been here. And this year I actually found some information that I found really interesting. And the more I read it, the more interesting it became. And so I'm not going to explain everything about the Passover, but the things that kind of caught my attention, I thought they were kind of interesting, because I know that everything in the Passover, it actually leads up to Jesus. And I will say this at the start of all this: I don't believe the disciples caught it all at this first Passover. I think over time they begin to recognize more and more what the Passover stood for and had been meaning from the very beginning. So Jesus has the Passover here. It's a simple meal. It's a meal that is a celebration of the nation's release from Egypt's bondage. So most of us know what the Passover is about, where it came from, and why it was even established. And so as Jesus doing this Passover, it is a time of celebration. When I think of what it means here at the time of Christ, I could not see a celebration. But they weren't celebrating his death. They were celebrating the exodus of Egypt and the freedom that God had promised and delivered to them through Moses, his servant. And so we know that this celebration was a joyous one, because they were no longer in bondage to Egypt, although they were in bondage to Rome. But there was still some rejoicing. So I'm going to give you a brief history of the Passover in a different angle than I've done in most years. I didn't look up the corresponding dates, but Nisan 10, which is March 28th or something, is the day they select the lamb. The day that they go out and they try to find the one lamb that has no blemishes and is able to be sacrificed. It has to be a year old, unblemished. It's chosen for specifically the Passover by a member of the house. So someone would have to go on each household and find the lamb that's unblemished and bring it in so that it would be used for the Passover later. The 10 of Nisan actually fell on Palm Sunday when Jesus came riding in his triumphal entry. So, of course, that is the day he is presented as the Lamb, brought forth for all to see, and he was even examined by questions that they were given to him later. And so we see that already right there, when they're looking for the Lamb, Jesus is presented, and he is the Lamb of God who will take away the sins of the world. So Jesus presenting himself as the unblemished sacrifice for the nation on that day. He is the Lamb. The slaughter of the Lamb would take place on Nisan 14, like I said, or April 2nd or thereabouts, on a Friday. And so on Nisan 13, they would be searching for leaven throughout the houses. Leaven is always described as sin in the Bible. And so usually they would do this before Passover meal was eaten. So there's a word, and I don't know if I can pronounce it right, but it's paterfamilias. It means the head of the family, the paterfamilias. And he led his family through the house by candlelight. This would be a good, I don't want to call it a game, but, if you had small children, instead of going Easter egg hunting, you could go looking for stuff by candlelight at night. So they're looking for whatever tokens that you might want to put out there. I actually thought about 30 pieces of silver for each kid to find. Go searching for 25 cents here and you get $7.50 or something it costs you to play this game per kid. But anyways, it was kind of interesting. So the father, the head of the house, would lead the kids by candlelight looking for nooks and crannies for any leaven in the house. And they would always leave a little bit because they had to find sin in the house, even though it was swept clean. And they would get rid of their leaven with their Gentile neighbors, and they would sell it to them, and then after the feast of Passover, they buy it back and bring it back into the house. So it was sort of like a game, but it was very real to them. And so at the end of the search, the father would say, and I love this, all leaven that is in my possession, that which I have seen and that which I have not seen, be it null, be it accounted as dust of the earth. So he would speak these words. On Nisan 14, they would do a foot washing of the day of the Passover. All guests and family members entered the house to celebrate Passover, and a servant or slave would often be there to wash their feet. Even though this was customary, it was still humbling, to say the least. This was the responsibility or task of the lowest class of people. Jesus did this in John chapter 13 when he washed the feet of the disciples. And we know that the Father had his servants or slaves that would do this. And we know that Jesus did this later, and so we know that he showed his own humbleness. And he also showed the example of what are we supposed to do. In Mark 10:45, it says, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. This verse has always spoken to me about my life in Christ, and afterwards about my life as a minister of Christ. That there is nothing too low that I can't do. I don't believe any pastor should be above washing toilets. I just don't. That's the low job. And I know there are people who think they're too good for that and refuse to do it. I think anyone who refuses to wash toilets when need to or called on or just sees it needs to be done is prideful. And those who do it are humble. We're humble because we know we have the privilege of cleaning toilets for Jesus. And that in itself ought to be joyful. I can't tell you how many times I've cleaned toilets here and was grateful that I could serve the Lord in that capacity. I remember Pastor Chuck once saying when he was picking up cigarette butts, which he hated, and trash around the grounds, and the people would come and say, "Why are you picking up trash?" He says, "No one else would. You guys pay me a lot of money to pick up trash." And so people would be humbled by that, and then they would pick up trash as they're walking by. Something I still do to this day. I walk by, I see people here all the time. They see something, they pick it up. It's not our property. We don't own this place. We don't have to care for it. But we have servants' hearts, and so we want to be like Jesus. So Jesus washed the feet. It's a reminder of us in our position that we should never be too prideful that we can't do what he's done. And he's doing this to his disciple. So, and there's a lot of stuff I could go through, but I know because of time, I just won't be able to do it the justice I would really love to do it. So I'm going to give you some things and then go over some things. So the Passover the meal was simple through the lamb, of course, the bread and the wine. There were the 4 cups of wine that were presented. There was the first hand washing and then a second hand washing. There was the table setting. There was reclining at the table, seating orders. They would assign people seats, and each would be assigned either by age or by responsibility. It just depended on what they wanted to do. And then in that celebration was the singing of the Hallel songs, Psalms 113 and 118. Remember when we went through that? And they're singing all 4 of these songs during this whole thing. It's almost like a show between reading and eating and drinking and singing and praying and eating and drinking, and it's like there's this performance almost taking place. So I think the kids got a kick out of it. So the first cup is poured and drank, a prayer is uttered, and I want to read that prayer. It's Exodus chapter 6, verse 6, if you're taking notes, and 7 actually. It's recited as a reminder of God's faithfulness and deliverance. Now this is for the Jewish people in bondage, but you could definitely see how it would apply to us even in our day. Exodus 6, verse 6 says, "Therefore say to the children of Israel," and I highlighted in my notes the I am and the I will. "Say to the children of Israel, I am the Lord." There is no other. I am the Lord. He says, "I will bring you out from under the burden of the Egyptians." So God's saying, I'm going to do this. "I will rescue you from your bondage," or from their bondage. "And I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great justice. I will take you as my people, and I will be your God. Then you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who brings you up out from under the burdens of Egypt." Israel knew this. They lived this. The forefathers, this event was passed down from generation to generation. And here we are at Jesus' time, and this is the Passover. This is what is said. This is what is done. And when I look at Exodus 6, 6, and 7, I can't help to think of God calling us. And I look at, for me, and that He's telling me, I am your Lord. He's telling me, I will bring you out from under the bondage of the devil, because the devil is the ruler of this world. He says, I will rescue you from any bondages you might have, whether that be alcohol or drugs or pornography or whatever. He says, I will bring you out of all those bondages. Some people have a bondage of just spending too much money. He said, I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great justice. I will take you as my people. And I love that about God making me and everyone that I know a part of His family. That's what He's saying. I'm making you part of my family. And I will be your God. And then you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who brings you out of under the bondage of the Egyptians. So you can see how you can personalize it in your own life and what God is calling you to do, as He did for the Jewish people during the time of the Egyptian bondage. After this, the Kaddish, or prayer of sanctification, is uttered for the paterfamilias, or head of the family. And he would say, "Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has created the fruit of the vine. And you, O Lord our God, have given us festival days for joy. This feast of the unleavened bread, the time of our deliverance in remembrance of the departure from Egypt. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and enabled us to enjoy this season." Again, another prayer that I look at and I can say, gosh, how that fits my life. How are we not to bless the Lord for what He's done in each of us? Now, what we're studying here with the Passover and eventually the Lord's Supper is an event that had been taking place every year since the time of Egypt's release. God told him, you need to do this every year. And it's been done from that time with Jesus in the new way from there to this present day. But I can see how my life has been blessed because of God's deliverance in my life. I can see that I need to remember my departure from the bondage of sin. As every one of you should be able to see that day. Many people remember the day of their salvation. They just know it. They know exactly where they were and what had happened. I have met a few people, and it's only been a few, who when you ask them, how did you get saved? They will actually say, well, it was a series of sequence, and all of a sudden I was just there. And I don't doubt their salvation. But I know the majority of people that I know, including myself, I can pin it to a date. There was events taking place, bringing me to that date. But there was a specific date when we each bowed our hearts before God, the Lord Jesus Christ, and we confessed our sins before Him, and we asked Him into our hearts to ever live with us. And we are here today because of what He's done. So this prayer is, I think, fitting even for today when you think of who God is and what He's done and how we should remember our deliverance and our departure from the bondage of sin in our life and controlling us, because no one was without being in bondage. We're born into sin. And blessed are you, O Lord our God, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and enabled us to enjoy this season. So for the Jewish people, of course, God had been providing for them. God had been with them all those years and decades and centuries, watching over them as He has us in our time. He's still watching over. The second cup is drunk. During this second cup of drinking, the youngest of the family would have questions, and he would ask, why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we eat leavened or unleavened bread. But this night, we only eat unleavened bread. On all other nights, we eat all kinds of herbs. But this night, we only eat bitter herbs. Why do we dip the herbs twice? On all other nights, we eat meat roasted, stewed, or boiled. But on this night, we only eat the roasted meat. The father would answer, recounting the history of Israel from Abraham to Moses and the giving of the law. And so he would explain these reasons and why they had to leave in haste after the plagues and, everything that's a part of all this. So you could see how long this meal would last. And then once that was done, they would follow by singing actual Psalms 113 and 14, and then a prayer would be offered to the second cup. Blessed are you, O Lord, our God, King of the universe, who has created the fruit of the vine. The eating of some meat would follow after that. And then on the third cup would be poured, and there's stuff in between. The third cup is poured and prayed over, and it is drank. And bread is eaten, and wine is sipped and drank. The second cup by remembrance was poured, but no one drank it. So this third cup, they would pour it, they would pray over it, they would drink, they would eat, and then followed by the fourth cup. 4 cups were presented. It's poured, but all the people would bless it, and all of them would say the Exodus chapter 6, verse 6 and 7 reading would happen by as the Father read it. Then it would follow or end by Psalms 115 through 118. And the rest of the Hallel songs would be sung. And some say the father would read the verses and then the family would say the hallelujah. And others think all of it was read together. And I don't know which way it actually happened. Maybe it happened both ways. And if you're wondering where this information comes from, there's a lot of studying. But one of the main ones that I got this from is just remember Bible.org. Super simple. Bible.org. They have it's a long piece. There's a bunch of stuff you could research, but you can get a lot of information about the Passover of the time. And I bring all this up because the disciples of Jesus' day, this is what they were used to. And everything I just explained to you, and it's about a quarter of what had actually taken place, is what would have happened at a Passover celebration. But it's interesting that when we read the account here in Mark, that Jesus has them prepare this place to do the Passover, and then once they have that, it doesn't tell us about every single thing that had taken place. It becomes even more simple. So in verse 17 of Mark, it says, in the evening, he came with his 12. Jesus came with his 12 disciples. Now, as they sat and ate, Jesus said, surely I say to you, one of you who eats with me will betray me. So, as they're doing this celebration, Jesus just comes out and says, hey, one of you guys is going to backstab me. One of you guys is going to betray me. And I can only imagine the knot in Judas's heart. When you're guilty, you know it. And I wish we could somehow see that or know that, but we know our own nature, right? We know when things are said about us and we've done them. Now, some people can hide their expressions really good. They could deny stuff and you would never know that they were guilty. We have a niece. I'm not going to mention her name. Anytime something is wrong and she's guilty, her whole face just goes. Every time. Every time. She cannot hide anything. And I wonder how Judas reacted. Was he able to keep smiling, keep drinking, keep eating when Jesus said this? Or was there that knot down in his stomach where he was like, oh man, I thought I did this in secret. How does he know? Well, you would think after 3 years they would know. Jesus knows everything. And then in verse 19 he says, and they began to be sorrowful, all of them. And to say to him one by one, each of them took their turn. Is it I? And another, is it I? Can you imagine them all saying, is it me? Is it me? Is it me? And he answered and said to them, it is the one of the 12 who dips with me in the dish. The Son of Man indeed goes just as it is written of him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been good for that man if he had never been born. So Jesus shares this news to the 12 during the Passover celebration about one of them betraying him. And now they're all wondering, is it me? Is it me? Almost as if saying, am I going to do this and I don't even realize I'm going to do this? All of them wondering who it was. None of them knowing. Only Jesus knew. Well, then in verse 22 it says, And as they were eating, okay, they're still at the meal, Jesus took bread, blessed and broke it, and he gave it to them and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." Now this is the part Jesus focuses in on. This is the part the Bible focuses it on. It doesn't focus in on the other stuff that have meaning, like the drinking of wine and all this stuff. It focuses on a cup of wine that is in a memorial to Jesus' blood, a reminder of his blood. It focuses on the bread. They say the matzah bread, of course, has the burnt marks that represent the whippings of the back. It has the punctured holes in it for when he was pierced. And then they break the bread in the brokenness of Jesus and his body. And so Jesus focuses on this stuff. So it says that he blessed and he broke it, speaking of the bread, and gave it to them and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." Here's where things change somewhat. Then he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank it, or drank from it, one cup. And he said to them, "This is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many. Assuredly I say to you, I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God." And when they had sung a song, part of the Hallel songs, they went out to the Mount of Olives. So we see this Passover celebration. We know what the meaning is because we just read a few things about it. But here Jesus institutes what we call the communion. And it's been carried on since that day. And I believe year by year, people begin to understand it more and more in the Christian understanding of it all. That Jesus is delivering us from our sin. That Jesus paid for that sin. He is the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. His blood was shed on our behalf, and his body was broken that we might be, he would pay the price of our sin and for our penalty. So Jesus is the Lamb of God. He fulfilled the meaning of the Passover. He brought about his own body in brokenness and revealed it to his disciples. And what do we get out of what Jesus did? Well, we get free from sin. We are no longer need to be in bondage, and death has no hold on us any longer because of what Jesus did. So during this Last Supper that Jesus established, we have our communion. And we're instructed as followers to continually do this as we remember him. In 1 Corinthians it says, "As often as you do this, remember the Lord's death until he comes." So we're not held to just once a year. We could do it every day, every week, every month. That depends on us. Many believe it should be held every Sunday when the service takes place. There are many beliefs on why and who come, and there are some Greek words that almost support that. I've always believed if you do it too much, it will lose its meaning and significance. Now, every church has to decide what is the right amount of time. We try to do ours once a month and be reminded of what Jesus did for our sins. And of course, the Lord's Supper helps us to remember that. That's why in 1 Corinthians, when we do it, we want to remember. We want to remember that he paid the price for our freedom. We want to remember we are forgiven our sins because of what he did. We are no longer in bondage because of what he did. And death has no hold on us. Today there are many people all over the world, and I'm just going to focus on this country. They're fearful because of this coronavirus. Many Christians are fearful because of this virus. That's it. Jesus conquered death, man. You're going to die right on time. And when you do, you're going to be in the presence of the Lord. I'm not saying you should practice social distancing or washing your hands or covering your cough. I think as good citizens, we need to do all that. But we can't be overcautious and over everything because of this either. Our hope is in Jesus. Everything we have belongs to him. Everything we are is because of him. And we focus on Him and His mercy. I know here in Oregon, I am grateful that it's only been, well, yesterday it was 33 deaths. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful the hospitals aren't filled in Oregon with a lot of people with the coronavirus. I'm grateful that the Lord has us in His grip. And we belong to Him, and so no matter what we go through, we are His people. He is our shepherd. He watches over us. He keeps us safe. So from this Passover, I'm going to read kind of a little bit more faster because I'm not going to go through every verse. But in verse 27 to 31, we have the prediction of Peter denying the Lord. In verse 30, it said, Jesus said to him, "Surely I say to you that today, even this night, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times." Now, verse 31, I've always wondered why. But he, Peter, spoke more vehemently. "If I have to die with you, I will not deny you." And they all said likewise, yeah, me too. I believe the same thing Peter believes. I'm not going to deny you. They all said the same thing. I question verse 31, not that it's there, but that Peter could actually argue against the Lord in the things that he says, because the Lord always says what's true. How do you argue against the Lord when He says, if He tells you you're going to deny Him, you're going to deny Him? And Peter was not alone, because they all denied Him, as many of us have. In verses 32 to 37, we have the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus and disciples, they leave the upper room. They cross over the Kidron Valley. They come into the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus prays in agony, the Bible tells us. He speaks to God his Father. Luke's gospel says that his sweat became like great drops of blood falling from the ground in Luke 22, verse 44. The agony of Jesus, his sweat was like blood. You knew he was feeling the impact of what was about to take place in his crucifixion. So they go to the Garden of Gethsemane, and that's where he prays. And he tells his disciple in verse 38 through 42, "Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." 3 times Jesus would find them asleep during these verses. 3 times they could not stay awake and pray with Jesus. We're all guilty of not being able to do it. See why? Our spirit is willing, but maybe our flesh is weak. This verse came so true to me. Not because I did it, and I have done it. But when I was at Calvary Chapel, South Bay, Pastor Roger wanted to do a 7 o'clock or 6:30 early morning prayer meeting, and about 5 of us showed up out of 1,000 or 2,000 people at the time. And 3 times he fell asleep each week. And then he canceled the 6 o'clock prayer meeting. I always remember that, and I always remember this verse. The flesh is willing, the spirit is willing, man, we're ready, let's go. But man, the flesh is weak. How hard it is to stay up when it's past our bedtime. Verse 43 to 50, there's the betrayal and arrest at Gethsemane. Jesus is betrayed by Judas, of course, with a kiss. He's arrested by the Sanhedrin. He is taken to the home of Caiaphas, the high priest, where the whole council had gathered and began making their case against Jesus. So this is the first of, if I remember right, 7 trials. Verse 51 to 52, kind of weird. A young man flees naked, had a coat on, took it off, and he first streaker in the Bible, I guess. He went running. And then in verse 53 to 65, Jesus faces the Sanhedrin, and he's accused, and I'm going to read part of that. Verse 53, it says, "And they led Jesus away to the high priest, and With him were assembled all the chief priests, the elders, and the scribes. So everybody's there. But Peter followed at a distance right into the courtyard of the high priest. And he sat with the servants and warmed himself at the fire. Now the chief priests and all the council sought testimony against Jesus to put him to death. So we already know what they want to do. But I like the second part of the comma. It says, but found none. They couldn't find anything to sentence him to be guilty of. What they do said, for many bore witness against him, but their testimony did not agree. Even their lies didn't agree with each other. Jesus was accused of many things, one of them which to destroy the temple. He said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will rise it up. But they didn't know he was talking about the temple of his body, that he would raise his body from the dead. He was accused of blasphemy and many things. And so if you skip down to verse 64, it says, you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? So they presented it before each other. And they all condemned him to be deserving of death. They all said, pointed the finger, they all said, yes, he's guilty of this. At that point, we're told that Jesus was being physically abused. They spit on him, they blindfolded him, they slapped him with the palms of their hands, and they began to physically abuse him, as cowards would do. Anytime it's more than one, you're a coward. And that's what they did, because they were a coward. You got the list there. The high priest, the chief priest, the elders, the scribe, and who knows what other people were a part of this physical abuse of Jesus. Then in verse 66 it says, now as Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the serving girls of the high priest came, and when she saw Peter warming himself, she looked at him and said, you were also with Jesus of Nazareth. But he denied it, saying, I neither know nor understand what you are saying. And he went out on the porch, and a rooster crowed. Now this is interesting, because when we read later, it says something that makes you wonder about this first crowing. It's as if trying to remind Peter of what Jesus was saying, but he didn't seem to make the connection. It's like it went right over his head. Because notice verse 69. And the servant girl saw him again and began to say to those who stood by, this is one of them. But he denied it again the second time. And a little later, those who stood by said to Peter again, surely you are one of them, for you are a Galilean, and your speech shows it. Then he began to curse and swear, I do not know this man of whom you speak. The third final denial. And then it says in verse 72, the second time the rooster crowed, then Peter called to mind the words that Jesus had said to him. You notice that from the first crowing to the second one? The first one is like he didn't even hear it. He was so focused on maybe something else, he didn't realize what was happening. But the second time it said, that's when he remembered the words that Jesus had said to him. Before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. And when he thought about it, he began to cry. He wept. He knew exactly what he had done. He knew exactly what Jesus had said had happened. So today is a reminder of all this. Today is a reminder that we have a Passover that becomes a communion. Today is a reminder that we will be set free because of the beating and death of Jesus Christ, only to be raised again as we teach on this Sunday. I believe, like Peter, many of us have denied the Lord. And we know in the end, the Lord looks for Peter. The Lord is forgiving. He's merciful. So even if I'm going to speak to Christians, even if you're a Christian, and you have denied the Lord in some action, not obeying what he said, or maybe he's warned you about something, I want you to know he's forgiving. He will come looking for you and take you back and just want you to love him and to know him. And often that involves just simply repenting and saying we're sorry. Father, we are grateful for tonight. It is a day different tonight than most other Passover services because we don't have churches full. We have a few of us here and mostly people watching by YouTube, if people are watching. But we are grateful for what you did for us 2,000 plus years ago, Lord. We might not understand the cost the way it actually happened because we are humans. But we know the cost you, Father, to send your Son. That he would die for our sins. That he would be beaten, as we just read, slapped and physically abused, dragged from one court to the next until they can finally crucify him. And we see that tonight, Lord. And just like the things we read, Lord, we are grateful for your salvation, for your forgiveness in our lives. And we remember what had taken place, Lord. We are so grateful. I lift up any heart, Lord, that doesn't understand this, that has not experienced the forgiveness of Christ, that you would open their hearts and draw them to you, Lord. Well, thank you for tonight, Lord God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. May his peace bring you so much joy tonight. God bless you.